Good morning, everyone. In today's session, we will be looking into the implementation of strategy, which is a unit 4. In today's module, the sessions which we will be completing are as follows. What do you mean by strategic implementation? Difference between strategic formulation and strategic implementation. What do you mean by forward linkage and backward linkage? Framework for strategic implementation and the key factors of strategic implementation. In the previous units, we have seen the steps which are involved in strategy, especially strategy planning, strategy formulation, and in this session we will be looking into strategic implementation. Let's see what is the definition of strategic implementation. Strategic implementation refers to how a company should create, use, and combine organizational structure, control systems, and culture to pursue strategies that lead to competitive advantage and superior performance. Basically, strategic implementation means making sure that whatever is being planned is executed properly with the use of people, structures, processes, and resources. So that is what is called as strategic implementation. Now, there is one more definition by Charles W. L. Hill and Grath Jones state. Strategic implementation refers to how a company should create, use, and combine organization structure, control systems, and culture to pursue strategies that lead to a competitive advantage and superior performance. So, this is all about what you mean by strategic implementation. Uh, Now we will see the difference between strategic formulation and strategic implementation. Formulation is more about planning, and implementation is more about implementing, like action. One is looking into the efficiency, the other one is looking into the effectiveness. So let's see the differences in detail. Formulation means we are setting developing strategic goals and plans, and implementation means it is executing strategic plan. So we are placing the forces before the action in strategic formulation, and we are managing the forces during the action. And formulation is an entrepreneurial activity, while implementation is more of an administrative task. As said, formulation emphasizes effectiveness, implementation emphasizes efficiency. It is a rational process in case of strategic formulation. It is an operational process. Strategy formulation is mainly done by top management, and strategic implementation is done by operational level managers. In strategic formulation, we need only few individuals will be actively involved, but in implementation, we need coordination of more individuals. Strategic formulation require a great deal of initiative and logical skills, but in implementation stage, we need more of a motivational and leadership skill. The strategic formulation precedes the strategic implementation, or rather, strategic implementation follows strategy formulation. So, these are the differences between strategy formulation and strategy implementation. Strategic formulation needs more of an analytical skill, and implementation requires more of a leadership skill. So we have seen the differences between formulation and implementation. There is another interrelationship between strategy formulation and implementation, which can be put forward in like which can be told in two different types. That is, there is a linkage between formulation and implementation. One can be forward linkage, or the other one can be backward linkage. So let's see what is forward linkage and what is backward linkage. Okay. Formulation of strategy definitely has link with the strategy implementation. If we are studying the impact of formulation on implementation, it is forward linkage. If we are studying the impact in the opposite direction, that is After implementing, what is the impact on the formulation of strategy? It is called backward linkage. Okay, backward linkage basically ensure the organization's success since there is a strategic fit. This type of link is always fail to provide value to the organization. That is forward linkage and backward linkage. When we are considering formulation and impact on implementation, it is forward linkage. When we are considering implementation and considering the impact of implementation of formulation, it is backward linkage. So that is the interrelationship between the formulation and implementation. Now moving forward, let's see the framework for strategy implementation. There are mainly six frames or six things when we are looking forward, when we are coming up with implementation of strategy. First one is building an organization capable of executing the strategy. It is nothing but coming up with an organization structure which can enable or enhance the strategy implementation process. So basically, the structure has a lot to do with implementation of strategy. Then second one is establishing a strategy supportive budget. It mainly refers to the resource allocation which is there. Basically, if a strategy has to be properly done, we have to ensure that there is a proper allocation of resources in the form of people, money, and other things. So that is about establishing a strategy supportive budget. Third point is installing internal administrative support system. As in the previous slide, we have already seen that strategy implementation is an administrative thing rather than like a idea generating thing or a logical thing. So if it is in formulation, it is more of an entrepreneurial skills which we are looking into. In the other one, we are looking into an administrative skills. So whenever it is an administrative thing which is happening, we should make sure that the support system is very crucial, and the different spheres like inventory, material management, customer service, cost accounting, and other administrative systems are needed to give organization important strategy executing capability. The fourth one is devising rewards and incentives that are tightly linked to the objectives and strategy. As strategy implementation is linked with many people, or many people are involved in the implementation stage, it should be kept in mind that these people should be motivated and kept in high spirit so that the implementation is easier. So it is very much important for the people and the department of the firm to be influenced through incentives, constraints, controls, standards, and rewards to accomplish the strategy. The fifth one is shaping the corporate culture to fit the strategy. You have to ensure that there is a culture which is helping in form for implementing of the strategy, or which is really working hard towards the accomplishment of strategy. And the last one is exercising strategic leadership. Leadership plays a vital role in obtaining commitment to strategy and its accomplishment. It also involves constructive use of power and politics, and politics is in building a consensus to support strategy. So these are the framework of strategic implementation. Now moving forward, let's see what are the key factors which influence the strategic implementation. The first one is the strategy itself. The second one is the structure, which is nothing but the organization structure. Third one is behavior. So strategy is something which is being it is a plan for the organization. So planning and formulation of strategy are vital, and if it is done properly in that stage, it will be easier for implementing it, and the effort taken to implement will be very less if the planning and formulation is done properly. Like you have to, in planning and formulation stage itself, you have to plan for resource allocations, responsibilities, and authorities that need to be set, and capabilities and concerns of the functions need to be solved. Next one is strategic consents. Consents me in the sense consents is key because strategies can be interpreted in a diverse set of ways, and strategic consents is connected with the implementation success and increased performance. So let's see. Under strategy, there are, as told earlier, there are two: formulation and planning and consents. So these play a vital role in coming up with the strategy. The second key factor is the structure. Under structure, there are many four things which we will be covering. One is cross-functional coordination. Second one, resource allocation. Third one, controlled by management, and the last one being communication. Cross-functional coordination means how the relationship between the departments are maintained. Are we having a cordial relation, and whether we are having a good relationship with your other departments. If there is tension or there is some barriers which is happening between the departments, it will create problem in a longer run to effectively implement the strategy. Then next one is resource allocation, coordinating and integrating the activities and participating and making participation of individuals is very important when it comes to resource allocation. And next one, control by the management. It should be properly monitored and see whether it is going as per the formulation and planning which is done in the previous stages. And there should be policies, incentives, and other things where you are not deviating from the uh, objective which is set. The last one is communication. Communication is very important. Lack of trust can make the strategy implementation utter flop. So communication serves as a mean to reach the consensus, and it is top management's task to ensure that everyone in the organization is equally informed about any strategy being implemented. Then the next one, the last one is behavior. This is more concerned with the human nature of people. Commitment, you should ensure that the people of the company are committed, and if more commitment is there, then only the work will be properly done, especially in the lower levels. The next one is leadership of managers. Again, it is an very important factor which has a major role in playing in strategic implementation. The role of leader is important if an organization wants to implement a new strategy, and uh, good leadership make sure that the strategies which are being formulated or planned is communicated properly, and you are making them motivated through your actions itself. And the last one is cultural context. Organization culture influences the people in organization. It influences through different ways, and communication is a mean to shape culture to a certain degree. So these are the things which will come under behavior. So the main key factors which affects strategic implementation are strategy, structure, and behavior. Let's see this in a way. So under strategy, we have two: formulation and planning and strategic consents. And under structure, we have four: cross-functional coordination, resource allocation, controlled by management, and communication. Under behavior, we have three: commitment of the workforce, leadership of the manager, and the cultural context. So in today's session, we have dealt with what is strategic implementation, what is the difference between formulation and implementation, what is the linkage between or interrelationship between formulation and implementation. What is the framework of for strategic implementation, and the key factors which influence strategic implementation. I hope you understood. In case of any clarifications or doubts, please feel free to contact. Thank you so much.